Bro, today is actually a very special day. Today is International International Self-Care Day. Okay. We have a very special guest coming up. But before that, oh, that's enough. That's too much self-care. Okay, that's enough. Unsa man gyud ang International Self-Care Day? Unsa may pasabot niya ng International Self-Care Day? Go ahead.
Definitions of the term. Queen.
Yes, sir.
So yeah, International Self-Care Day, it's actually created by the World Health Organization, and they specifically chose July 24 because 7/24, that date, they chose it because they want to remind us na self-care should be done 24/7. So 7/24. Yeah,
That's
very witty.
cute. Yeah.
Yeah, it's so witty. And also, according to World Health Organization, apparently there are two types of self-care. So that's self-care action, the habits, the practices that we do. For example, we meditate or mga stuff like that. Yeah, and then there's self-care intervention. So these are evidence-based tools that support our mental health, physical health, and whatsoever. So by evidence-based tools, it's stuff like therapy or professional help. Yeah. So that's basically the history of
So kuno sa man nagsugod
self-care
og celebrate ang self-care day kay para nako this is just me personally. I'm not very bag-o ra ko naka sugat ani nga termino nga self-care, di ba? Relatively speaking, there's what we call the self-help movement back in the 80s, di ba? Pasabot niya na nga daghang kay mga libro nga nag
self-help books.
makita ka sa bookstore even until now, di ba?
Yeah, there are a lot.
Daghang kayo mga self-help books.
It's a separate shelf
Oh,
of self-care
di ba?
books.
So
itself.
and then we all know nga we are still not very good at helping ourselves, di ba? Until now, di ba? So in a way, katong self-help movement was not really a flying success, di ba? Ang self-help movement, di ba? So kaning self-help movement is, although it's not self-care, pero similar ni siya, di ba? Self-help,
Yeah,
meaning to say, nga you read books that will allow you to help yourself, di ba? So in a way, reading self-help books is a kind of self-care, di ba?
Yeah.
So how is self-help distinct and different from self-care is my question. Do you have any answer, or should we ask our specialist here of self-care, Chennie, to
Yeah.
join us? Good morning, Nimo dia Chennie. You're live on the air on 105.1 TMC. Can you hear us?
Morning.
You're live on the air, ma'am.
Yes,
Ma'am.
loud and clear. Hi.
Look at her. She's so
Thanks
beautiful,
for
right?
having me.
Morning,
Look at her
miss.
just
Morning,
right?
An
miss.
example, a true example of self-care. Hi,
Grabe
Miss
ang
Chennie.
self-care
Thank you
ni
so
Miss
much for
Chennie.
joining us on the show today. You're our expert on when it comes to self-care. So Jiggy has an important question. What's the difference between self-help and self-care? Is there even a difference?
I think it goes hand in hand. Self-care is part of self-help. Self-care, I would say self-help is a broad term in taking care of yourself in all aspects, and self-care is part of it.
Hey, it's a different shelf, Magud, according to the girls here. According to Christina and Hillary, it's a different shelf, kuno, in the bookstore, in the library, di ba? Nice self-help.
Own
Okay, usually kanang self-help usually is really about motivation, about business, about making money, right? About how to interact with other people, how to kanang influence other people. See, Carnegie, right? So mo na siya the premier, the most popular self-help book of all time. So murag lahi na nga siya sa nga shelf sa self-care. So I guess the next question would be, what's the distinction between self-help and self-care? Is there a distinction sa mga the kind of reading materials that are available out there, the kind of authors, and even the kind of products that you have? Kanang self-help, usually these are just books, right? Kaning self-care, murag naman ni wellness component nga naman ni sila yung mga essences and oils and lifestyle design, like gymnasiums, gyms, health spas, and so on and so forth. So sa may distinction na to, Chennie, sa self-help o sa self-care in that aspect, products siguro.
in products. For me lang ha, I think self-help was coined, it was coined self-help, the term self-help in terms of the books. But like you said, there's a variety of things covered within self-help. So it doesn't only cover um, the mental, emotional aspect, but also like confidence, building confidence, how to communicate properly, um, how to engage with people in business in particular, for example. But going back to my answer earlier, self self care is part of self help because in a way you are helping yourself. You're taking care of yourself, and then I would say the products that are labeled self care in skincare and other lifestyle beauty products, they're coined self care in a way because um nag-correlate na bitaw siya sa market.
Okay.
If you take a look at it sa wider perspective, it really is just the same,
Yeah.
just the different words that you use.
Yeah, perhaps it's like an umbrella term, no? I don't know if you would agree, Miss Chennie and our top of the morning team. I think if we look at it from the word perspective, when we say self-help versus self-care, help has to do with intervention and care presupposes like preparation or something to do with like pre, like before something happens. So I think when I think of self-help, I think of intervention. So that's why a lot of the self-help books, podcasts have to do with like theories on how to straighten out, resolving a particular issue in your life, something like that. When
Yeah.
we say self-care, it's more preventive. So
Also more physical, di ba?
Yeah.
When you say
It's about
self-care,
improving sad.
murag,
Self-care.
murag, there sa
fixing.
self-help there's a kind of murag, academic business and also mental aspect. Kanang self-care,
theory-based.
very theory-based.
Self-care is practical.
Kanang self-care, murag, it more is not meant to be just, but more on the physical aspect, diba? Self-care compared to self-help. Murag help, mental, care, physical. What do you think of that distinction, Chennie? We asked the question because why was there a need ba? How did the word, since self-help is already there as a
yeah.
word, why was there a need to have another word for it, which is self-care? You said they're one and the same. So why was there a need? So there must be a reason why there was a need for the self-care movement to be so popular these days.
Mhm. Yeah, I think self-help is intimidating if you hear it at first. It's like, oh, that's very deep, that's very serious. But if you compare it with hearing the word self-care, it's more relatable, more approachable. I guess that's it. That's the way I look at it.
Ikaw, Chennie. So you're our. We look up to you when it comes to self-care because I don't know how to take care of myself, right? So ikaw, how do you care for yourself? What does that even mean? What does self-care mean?
Yeah, so I got inspired by one of the books that I have read, Seven Habits of Highly Effective People. And it was mentioned there that you have to take care of the four pillars or dimensions of yourself. So that's mind, body, spirit, and heart. For me, I resonate with it a lot. For me, self-care is taking care of those aspects because if you don't take care of those aspects, you won't be able to fully show up in the things that you love to do and for the people that you love.
Oh, I like that. I like how Miss Chennie mentioned at the end. No, it's also about showing up for people that you love. Because I don't know if there's this misconception with self-care that it is selfish. No, I think people often mistake it
Yeah.
with just taking care of yourself for yourself. But people forget that when you show up for yourself, you're also showing up for people around you. Maybe we can talk about that, Miss Chennie. What does it mean to show up for yourself in a way that shows up for other people around you? Like, if I were to take care of myself, like, unsay labot sa mga tao sa kalibutan, like, how does that contribute, like, my family? I know what it does for my self-worth. I think it's kind of like a no-brainer why we should engage in self-care rather, and why we should take care of ourselves, because We are the only people. Technically the most important people in our lives. No, there's only one of us. We are born to this world alone. We'll leave this world alone as well. So it's kind of like it makes sense. But in terms of everyone around us, how does showing up for yourself help everyone around us?
So I'll share a specific example just so that people can relate. So for example, I don't take care of myself well. I don't give myself enough rest.
Yeah.
I don't have enough hours of sleep, and I just operate on a survival mode, just working, hustling hard and forgetting to take care of my body. And therefore I unconsciously, unknowingly project the grogginess, the anger, the tired feeling towards people that I
Okay.
love. So I get moody. I get I get sensitive at small things, and they're not at fault, but you project that towards them because you're not taking care of your body. So it's just a domino effect, really.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense. I feel like that's a super relatable example, Miss. No, and with any relationships that we have in our life, sometimes we carry on whatever problems that are brought about by neglect and not having self care, kaya ma-transfer or as Miss mentioned, project. What about for our top of the morning team? In what ways does taking care of yourself affect other people? Like unsay labot sa mga tao sa kalibutan if you take care of yourself or not?
Ikaw, Tin. Ako mga usually, like sa mention ni Miss Chennie kanina, when I don't take care of myself, like, example, daghang UK times, like, even in the studio, na kanang, ako naman good merag, dili man ko like kanang dili siya akong eating habits, dili siya yung na kanang always gani na consistent. Night times siguro maka breakfast, night times maka breakfast.
Christy's like, yeah, me too.
And night times here since early man kay mo magikan there, di na mi magdalag lunch.
No.
Gutom ka. And sometimes wala ko'y breakfast, wala ko'y lunch. Akong mood kay mura siya maguba and
Masapot siya.
Saputon ko actually, mahangry na. Muna sometimes makabante mang romancer miss na marag usay kay marag nagulingkod ko dere hilom kay ko kay akong guna kay gutuma gutuma.
Okay, that's what's on your mind.
Yeah, and
hilom.
bisa like whole afternoon na marag dili ko marag dismissive kay ko and stuff kay marag akong na kay gutuma na gyud uy. Yeah, so I think it's important na marag you take care of your well-being. It affects the people around you man po good. And
Yeah.
You know, one of my
So
favorite
it's not selfish.
one of my favorite quotes by is this. I don't know if I cannot attribute it to one person, but it says something like this. Now, we are all selfish creatures. We are all selfish beings. We all want to take care of ourselves, right? And the best way we know how is to take care of others. Again, we're all selfish creatures. We all want to take care of ourselves. And the best way we know how is to take care of others, because helping others gives us meaning, gives us the will to live. Actually, seeing people happy, other people happy, makes us happy, right? So that is our humanity. That's most of us really are constructed. No, we get meaning from other people. What do you have to say about that?
for me,
for
no,
me.
Yeah, Chennie, yes, you.
Okay. Simple ra gyud. You can't show up again. You cannot show up. You cannot help people if you don't help yourself first. You have to fill your cup first before you can pour for others.
Yeah, but the
That's so
filling
true.
of the cup is from others. It is the other people's happiness that fills you, that makes you who you are, gives you
I have
meaning,
reservations about that.
gives you meaning, gives you makes your cup full. More about more about your fuel. For example, I'll give you an example. A concert, for example, right? Kung ang artist walay tao, walay mamakpak, di ba? Walay mo appreciate sa iyang art, he'll be depressed. She won't like to perform at a high level, right? But if the artist has a crowd, it energizes the
It's
artist,
like
right?
feeding off your energy.
You feed off each other's energy,
Yeah.
right? So what are your thoughts on that, Chennie? An artist who feeds off the energy from the crowd, from the audience, gets his full cup full because of the reason that he has people that watches her music, that consumes her music, that patronizes her. Without them, his or her cup is not full because nobody is noticing what she's doing.
Mm, okay, I get you. Okay, from my perspective and opinion lang, no, people really need to learn to not source validation and energy from the outside sources. That's why I very much advocate on my platforms to build a foundation of home within you so you do not attach your identity, happiness, and love from the outside source. So if going back to your example or question, so if I was the artist, um, yes, I would feel disappointed, frustrated. Kaya ang mga tao wala nalipay. I don't get the recognition, the affirmation. But then if you have the awareness and be able to catch that moment na, I have the talent. I am in alignment with my values, with my talent. I know for a fact that I'm doing this with a good intention. You shift it back to yourself, and once you are in alignment, everything follows really. Because me as a content creator as well, speaking as a creative as well, no, I get that too. Like I get so conscious about the numbers. Like why don't I get this much engagement? But then if you continue pushing through in alignment, people who are aligned with you will notice you eventually. And it's much better than that, than you force yourself to source recognition just because you want to fill your cup. I think that is selfish.
Wow, I really like the things that you're throwing at us, Miss. No, a lot of important concepts when it comes to validation, affirmation, alignment, and all.
Building
that.
a home within the self. I like
Kana,
that.
nice kana. Para you don't have to find a home in someone or something else.
Yeah.
Dapat kanang imong own foundation needs to be strong enough. I love that concept, no. Pero I just want to ask Miss Jean. I feel like human nature, no, we are social beings also. We relate to one another. We exchange energies with one another, experiences, and no man is an island. Everyone is interrelated. So in that sense, how do we keep that idea in mind of really, how do we stay focused on building a home within ourselves when there's so many external factors that are pulling us left and right, as you mentioned, like mga social pressures and all that. How do we stay grounded and focus on our own foundation, on ourselves?
Yeah. So go through a self-discovery journey. Build your foundation by knowing who you are.
Okay.
Simply. So yeah, self-discovery, go out there, try different things, and then when I can't really speak for others, but in my experience, I just get this eureka moment, bitaw na, this is what I like to do. This is who I am. And once you got to know yourself even deeper, once you know that this is who you are and this is who you want to be, then wherever you go, it doesn't really mean that you close off doors, man. No, you still open yourself out there, of course. Because like you said, no man is an island. We still can engage with people, different people. But the difference is if you know who you are and if your foundation within yourself is that strong, the energy, ma-protect rin mo imong self, ang energy sa other people, you'll be able to set that boundary bitaw between yourself and that energy nga, that misalignment na, we're not aligned, and that's okay. You don't take that personally. That's them. You are different. So if that makes sense, Miss.
I understand, Miss, and I think knowing yourself also has to do with really relating with other people. Like Jiggy would always say, like sort of what is the sound of one hand clapping? Diba? There's no sound. Ano to, Jiggy? Can you?
We are the sound of one hand clapping, right? We don't know who we are until we bump into other beings, other people, right? Knowing the self is illusory sometimes. Like look, you cannot. You're the last person to know who you are because you don't know who you are until you get the the reaction from other people, how they feel about you, how they look at you, how they treat you, and all and so on and so forth, right? So kanang finding the self is actually a very difficult journey, right? So how do you begin to find yourself without engaging, without talking to other people? You can't, or can you?
Ito.
I think you need to start on introspection, like asking the right questions. Who am I without the labels? Um, who do I want to be, and what legacy do I want to leave?
Do you agree, ba, Miss Cheney, that and to our top of the morning team that self-discovery, finding yourself is a lifelong journey? Yeah.
Yeah,
Would
it
you say
takes
so, Miss?
time.
Mm-mm. But would you also
Yeah,
agree
it
that
takes
that
time.
this because of social pressures, it's like I don't know why human beings are as a society we assign like a number of years you have to only find yourself. Like you should have it figured out by this age. What do you think about that, Miss Cheney?
Yeah, wala ka ma-pressure ka nga. Ko, 30 na ka, oy. You have to figure yourself out, right? Yeah, right? Like, and what does it even mean? What does it even mean? What does it mean to figure yourself out? What does that mean exactly? Just, okay, for most people, assign values. Values meaning to say value kwarta ba? Kwarta, like where you are, you have a stable job, you have this, you have a family, you have children, blah blah blah, right? So na yung mga metrics sa society ba. So lisod kayo kung self-actualize kay kastanan ba, pero let's just say you're living the painfully middle class life, for example, like I am, right? So is that a self-actualized person? So my question here is, what does it even look like when you know yourself, and what does that mean to you? And to the people around you if you're self-actualized?
Hmm. Going back na sa question you missed, no, it takes time. There is no specific deadline and timeline because each person has different life lives, different capacities. Um, some people don't have the privilege, some people have the privilege. It really varies from person to person. So I can't really say that there you should reach a certain timeline for self-discovery. It's just a matter of that specific eureka moment, and that's
In
it.
your personal
Just
journey, in your personal journey, Cheney, Montero,
mm,
uh, how did you get to that point when you say that you already know yourself, or is it still an ongoing process for you?
mm. Wow. This is going to be a very long story, so I'm gonna cut it a little bit short. So it started. So there were three pivotal moments that I would say that really that made me reach where I am right now with building who I am. So first was my childhood, um, both in the household and in school. I was really going through difficult times. I was bullied, and then at home, I did not feel safe in my home, in my in my exact home, because not physically, but like emotionally and mentally, I did not feel safe to express my emotions, um, to communicate because I'm just a kid. They're the elders. I'm just a kid. You don't have the right. It was just that culture growing up, and then um and then my heartbreak. So after my heartbreak, I learned that whoa, that you should not give 100% of yourself. That's where I learned that you can't continue pouring and pouring until you lose everything, because you'll literally get lost and you have to build yourself up again. And that takes a lot of time. And it took me years to build that. And fast forward to now, my eureka moment was after I've really courageously put myself out there, tried different things that I thought I enjoy or love to do. And that's by doing purposeful work, whether in full-time job and in content creation, That's where I find fulfillment. So yeah, it varies really. Sir Jiggy, it varies from different people and different experiences that they have
Yeah, but
before they can really
yeah.
reach that certain
So
point.
you feel that you've reached a certain point when you already more or less know yourself after all of the things that happened to you sa inyong panimalay. You didn't
Yes.
feel safe, and in school where you were bullied, also your heartbreak. Can you tell us more about the heartbreak? Was this like a romantic heartbreak? Was it like something that a dream that did not come true? What do you mean, and how did you get over that so-called heartbreak? Go ahead.
Okay. So it was a relationship of 5 years. Um, we got engaged, but it broke off obviously because he broke up with me, and then I found out that he cheated all along. So it was very devastating for me, that heartbreak. And because I operated before in a way that I thought love was because of how I was brought up, that love is accompany sacrifice. So I basically did the same thing without knowing that it's not like that. So I gave 100%. Everything revolved around the person, my identity, my hopes, my aspirations. So I literally lost myself and had to rebuild myself. And I traveled. I tried different things. I uh, I familiarized my own company because I was so used to um having that person beside me in everything, just everything. So I had to learn how to love my own company and learn the solitude of aloneness. Um, and yeah, until I reached to this point, I would say yes, I've come to that point, Sir Jiggy, but I wouldn't say fully and 100%. I s- I believe that we are all ever evolving people, and I'd like to keep it that way.
You know, thank you so much for sharing. That is a deeply personal thing that you shared to us. Thank you so much, Chennie. I'm curious ba,
Thank
katong
you.
ingon ni mo nga,
Yes.
your journey to self, knowing yourself, right? Ingon ka nga, to be able to enjoy the company of yourself. Most of us, myself included, are kind of scared of that thought of
Mm.
ourselves, diba? We are actually not very good company to ourselves, diba? Murag to ourselves. I mean, like boredom strikes, right? Justine, I'm sure you're familiar with what boredom is. So daghang kayo mga thoughts sa imong utok nga could be scary thoughts also, right? So how does that work
Mm.
for you? How do you be comfortable with the company of yourself? Because that sounds counterintuitive too, right? Like, what do you mean? It's just me. Like, isn't the self
Mm.
just me too? Like, are they two different concepts and ideas? Like, how does that work for you? Tell us the process. Teach us how to be more comfortable with our own thoughts, with our own selves.
So there are many tools out there to help you manage with your emotions and thoughts, especially when you are alone. So I've learned a couple from the emotional and spiritual workshop that I've done with Sarah Suyam. So she's a coach based in Australia. So there's the EFT method where you tap certain points in your on your body to help you calm down, and breathing exercises. And then there's also this formula wherein you acknowledge your emotion, and you trace it by journaling it. So what I do personally, I create an emotion map or mind map. So I write down in the middle the strong emotion I feel, and I branch out and write possible sources where I got these emotions. Like for example, just anywhere that is from the outside source. And then once I get that feeling, that strong feeling that, oh, this is it, then I acknowledge the emotion. And then after I acknowledge the emotion, I release and let go and then recode, meaning to say I shift the emotion and say that I am not my emotion. That was not me. It was simply a trigger of something that I need to take care of. And that's how I just manage. And then in terms of being comfortable with yourself, being alone, some of us are used to company and people around us, and that's okay, really. Um, I think it goes back to your foundation of yourself. Um, do I need other people to make myself happy? You know what I mean? Where am I sourcing happiness? Is this the right way I source happiness?
That's a very wholesome formula, Miss, no?
Yeah, it really boils down to asking yourself the right questions and going into that introspection.
Yep. So for us to practice self-care and to really understand ourselves. So you're trying to say, Miss Chennie, na it's important for us to recognize our emotions and at the same time have that sense of shift.
Yeah.
As a very emotional person, I actually have no problem recognizing the emotion because it's very easy for me to know, to show also when I feel something. People will know automatic. I don't hide what I feel. Like, I'm very easy to, you'll know when I'm happy, you'll know when I'm sad, you know when I'm tired. Everyone will see it.
You wear your heart on your sleeve.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But the issue there, Miss, would be the shift that you mentioned. Redirecting your energy after you've acknowledged, okay, this is how I feel. What I have a difficulty with, and I'm sure a lot of our listeners can relate to as well, is how do you redirect that into something positive? Because I know that there's a fine line between redirecting your energy into something positive and distraction. And for most of the people I know when you don't do it right, what I often see is that they're often distracting themselves. So if they're feeling something, a negative emotion, instead, so they've acknowledged it, I feel bad. But instead of redirecting that, lagi redirect siya, but into something else, like a vice, like going, like, I don't know, anything that's self-harm, anything that is, redirect lagi, pero it's going the wrong way. So how do we know, Miss, when the redirection is distraction and when it's a good shift, as you mentioned?
I think, like I always say, and I always mention this also on my speeches and workshops, that self-awareness and self-acceptance are key to growth and development. Yes, you are self-aware, but if you don't accept and you're not accountable for it, you will be stuck in that cycle of instead facing and befriending your shadows, you are sweeping them under the rug. And mind you, it's gonna keep knocking at your door until you acknowledge it and do something about it.
Okay. So self-acceptance, those two concepts are very different, Miss. No, awareness and acceptance. How so, Miss? How is it different when someone is just aware and someone is actually accountable for or accepting it? What does accepting look like, Mandy, compared to awareness?
So awareness, diba, you catch yourself. You are aware of the habit. You're aware of your actions.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm aware it's bad. But then accept is you acknowledge it. Like, not just acknowledge it like seeing it, but acknowledge it, accepting it, courageously accepting it na, I see it, it's bad.
Okay.
And I have to actually do something about it.
And then what question is the most important? Would you say, Miss Chennie? It's not enough to just say, okay, this is what's going on. This is how I feel, blah, blah. Do you think the follow through is just as important as recognizing the pattern?
Yes.
What do you guys think? The power tops girls. I love it how while Miss Chennie is divulging all this all these lessons, no, that are very valuable. Kay daghan kay makarelate kani si Ollie kanina pag relationship na yes ana get yes. So what your reaction? Yeah, you guys you have comments?
In case you're wondering what you're listening to, mga kaigalan, this is International Self-Help Care or Self-Care Day today, July 24. We have a social media influencer, a self-help advocate, Chennie Montero, live in the studios of 105.1 TMC through Zoom, on YouTube, on Facebook, on TikTok, and I think in the other social media platforms. Also on the radio, 105.1 TMC. Kung namoy mga pangutana, mga text, mga messages, text 0999-887-6070. We're only with Chennie Montero for a limited time. Also, you can message us on YouTube, Tops Media Center. Please press subscribe on Facebook and on TikTok. You have a question, Hillary. Go ahead.
Yeah. So, hi, Miss Chennie. I have a question in
Hello.
relation to the like hustling culture. So nowadays, Manggod, many of us believe that self-care, it can be a privilege or a luxury na, no? Especially since ingnan jud ta sa mga people na if you rest, you look lazy or like
Tapulan.
ako mismo like if kanawa ko'y buhaton kay di ko ganahan.
Real guys, maarp salary ko naman sa Picas room na siya buhat.
Yeah, so ako mismo like I don't like it when I'm doing nothing kay it also looks
Guilty ka, no?
Yeah, I feel guilty and I also look lazy, Manggod. So what do you think fueled this belief now rest is a luxury, and how do we sort of redefine self-care into thinking that it's really something that we should do, it's required, and it should be accessible to others?
I-relate kay ko si mong gingon because I was once like that. I feel guilty resting because I got used to being busy,
The
and
hustle,
I think I think the society really has to stop glorifying the hustle culture and being busy as like an achievement, because I think people should glorify more on how people balance their life and their the outcomes that they do in result of that. So going back to what you said earlier, so sorry, na lost ko sa question.
So the question was gonna
How do you define it?
how can we redefine self-care para dili siya maingon na luxury lang ang self-care?
Yeah. Okay, sorry. So I get this tendency to get lost with my thoughts. So it's not about the privilege, Manggod. I think it's seen as that way because of how the media is showing it. Na self-care is this and that, like Pilates.
Yeah,
Yoga.
kanang muadto ka ng mga coffee shop.
like, go to
Travel around the world, see.
Yeah, it's not. No.
Mm.
It varies from person to person, really. Kanda, guys, people listening, please, ayaw ka dalaan na with whatever you consume, ngayon na ang self-care. No. Self-care depends on how you take care of yourself and what you need according to your body and
Yeah.
according to your lifestyle. So,
Mm.
for example, me, I'm very busy person also. So at work, I take 5-minute breaks in between my tasks before I continue, before I work on another task. So that's still self-care. And blocking a time of a time in your day or sa week baron na you work out or take a walk baron, or those things that
Simple lang.
Simple thing.
gives you that pause and relaxation, a break from the routine so that you can connect with yourself and your body. Kaya if you continue na mag-hustle ka, busy, and then you forget the other aspects of yourself, like the pillars that I've mentioned earlier, the 4 pillars: heart, mind, body, what was that? What was the fourth one? So if you don't take care of those 4 pillars, murara ka og kanang robot.
Yeah.
You're operating like a robot.
You know what?
You're
One of the
not- you're not-
one of the most important pillars of the one that you mentioned, all 4, is body, right? Body, ay imong lawas, diba? And I noticed you because we were studying you. Pardon me, I was sort of stalking you. Sorry, Chennie. I noticed that you do a lot of pole dancing, right? And you even
No.
what was that kind of dancing? Chair dancing. What is that?
Yeah.
Not
Sexy dancing. I used to do
I
chair, sexy chair.
not pole. Sorry,
But
pardon me. Pardon me. Not pole. Chair dancing. And also, I understand you joined the Miss Century Tuna Body a few years ago, and you're
yes,
in other
for
words,
months.
you're very comfortable with your body, and part of self care is really being at home with your body, right? Sometimes, Magud, when we look at ourselves, fine, we accept ourselves, but when we look at ourselves in the mirror, Morag, we feel sometimes, we're
We
too,
see all our flaws.
we see all our
Yeah.
flaws. We feel too thin, too fat, too ugly, too short, too tall, whatever, right? There's always something wrong, right, with us. How do you do that? Because obviously you look like you're so comfortable with your own body. How does that work for you? How do you get comfortable with your body?
Thank you. It took me years to build that confidence. Um, it's really more on taking care of the relationship of yourself, between yourself, you and yourself. Because again, balik ta sa katong validation, recognition. Yes, you get these thoughts, no, na, kind of, I'm flawed. This is my body, like I have huge hips and they don't like it. But then you catch yourself and say, wait lang, they don't like it. Kanang, does it matter to me? Will it matter to me? Kanang, unsay naa if they don't like it? Actually, ganan ko sa kong hips kay it creates the symmetry sa kong body. It's just a matter of shifting the thoughts, really. That the dialogue, the narrative that you tell yourself.
Where did the dialogue come from in the first place, right? Maybe if I'm going to theorize, it's probably everything that you've ever done, everyone that you have spoken to, everyone around you, everything you've
Yeah.
ever learned. That's where your narrative
The
comes from,
media.
diba? Yeah, from everybody you've spoken to, from media, from whatever you've read and whatever you've seen. So part of the things that happen to you when you live a full and long life, especially, well, I already consider being a 20-year-old long life already. You've already lived a rich life, ba? Is that you get hurt, you get traumatized, right? Something happens to you. You mentioned earlier in your childhood you were not free when you were bullied in school and you had a heartache and all of that stuff. And those are the very clear and moraog earth-shattering heartaches and traumas of your life, right? Pero na may mga more insidious, smaller micro traumas in your life that you don't even know. You don't even probably remember some of these things, right? And it also affects the way you are. Kanang mga micro traumas in your life ba? I'm curious. Like kanang mga traumas nga are not out there and earth shattering you can easily identify. Kanang mga micro traumas ba, those small traumas in your life, how do you deal with those, and how do you deal with things that you're not even aware of sometimes, right? Na yung mga panghitabo sa imong kinabuhing wa ka kibaw na hitabo din na nimo, or you forget about them, you sweep them under the rug.
Mm. Disclaimer, I will not speak in behalf of everyone.
Mm.
So this is just based on my experience. So when I catch myself with this micro trauma triggers, again, I make use of the tools that I've learned and the things that I've learned from the books that I've read. And it's all about, again, self-awareness, self-acceptance. And if you have those two, and you can recode really from the experience. And if not, it's okay to ask for help. Seek counseling, therapy if it affects the way you live, the way you think, the way you do things.
You're a very independent sounding woman. In istorya nato, murag feeling nako you don't need anybody. You feel like you're like a self-sufficient kay kasanan ba. But ningingon ka nga, if you can't hack it, then ask for help, right? Isn't that counterintuitive to self-care? Isn't self-care all about self-sufficiency and being independent and not needing anybody else? What do you mean when you say if you can't take it, then you have to ask for help. What do you mean by that? Isn't that counterintuitive to self-care?
Self-care is asking for help is still self-care. Um, doesn't mean that you got it all figured out, you got it all managed on the outside. Doesn't mean that you don't need help on the inside sometimes. Um, I can't really say because I'm not a psychologist. I don't have a PhD degree, but if it affects your focus in work, like your mental capacity it's not there. You notice that you're not showing up well for others, you're projecting these things and you can't manage it by yourself, then it's okay to ask for help via therapy or counseling, or speak to your friend if you need to share a few things, your emotions, you need to vent out. It's totally okay to share it with a friend.
Miss Chennie, I'm curious, what is your... I'd like to throw this question to everyone here on our top of the morning team. Also to our listeners, no? Sa tanan naminaw na to on our TikTok lives. Thank you for joining Marvin, Bertilio, Axel, AAA223, Ella, Larida. Those joining us on our Facebook live and also on our YouTube live. And those listening to us on the radio 105.1 TMC. Mauni akong pangutana for everyone here, no? What is your self-care hack? What is something that you really do that you can't skip, that you feel like is essential, that to take care of yourself and you really appreciate it and you love doing that thing for yourself? So maybe we can start with our guest today, Miss Chennie Montero. One self-care hack. Yeah. That's like super important to you.
Time management, energy management on my calendar.
Okay. So actually plotting it out, no? Mm-mm.
Yes.
Why energy management, miss? Kanang di mahurot gyud ay na imong imong energy. That's a reality, no, of us human beings. We don't have kind of infinite energy. So I like that Miss mentioned that it's not just time management. Kanang concept, time management has been here for the longest time, but rarely do we practice energy management, no? I love that, Miss. What about you, Jiggy? What's your self-care hack?
Well, I think it's a contradiction in terms already. When you say self-care and then hack means shortcut, diba? So I don't believe in shortcut when it comes to self-care, right? Because I don't think it's a good thing. I think when you need something, we need to shortcut something. We need to short circuit it. That means you're not doing it correctly. So I think this is easier said than done. But I really find time to be able to just listen to my breath and meditate and have time for yourself. Just sit down and listen to meditative music. I am not a good meditator yet. I mean, there's always something in your mind, but I'm trying. I think that's when I walk Cooper, when I walk our dog, that's also a kind of meditation for me. So it's really about being just present and being there. And it takes a long time. So it can't be a hack. The word hack is actually part of the self-help, fast-paced hustle movement, right?
Yeah.
You just hack it, right? And it's tough. I think a lot of things in the most important things in life require a lot of time for it to be considered a practice and for you to be able to actually bounce back from something. So I give it a little more time, and meditation is where I sort of focus my time if I have the time to do it, which is probably just a few minutes a day. How about you, Justin? What are your self-help hacks?
Okay, so that's Jiggy's self-care activity, no? He tries to meditate, watch his breath and all that. For me, I think we should change the question. I like how we should modify it. Instead of being hacked, like what's one self-care activity na lang that you do that matters to you, right? For me, one self-care activity that really matters to me would be taking time to just do nothing. Like not necessarily have anything planned, because I'm the type of person that I'm not actually very spontaneous. I actually like things planned. Like I want a schedule because I'm very forgetful.
Same.
Diba, miss? But there are times that for me it's also self-care to not have anything planned. Like if I have a free afternoon to just like walk around, like window shop or and then end up explore a random place and then find this random spot. Okay, I'll sit here and then like I like doing that, like having random parts of my day that are not planned, even in the way that I interact with people. Like I'll probably sit in an area that I don't necessarily sit in, or if I was, for example, I visit a specific cafe and then I usually sit in this one spot, I'll sit in a different spot just to for the heck of it, for the lore, and then it's also nice, like, to not expect conversations with other people. So when someone pass by, like, just compliment someone, I like your hair, and then it becomes a really good conversation. You make a friend. So my self-care activity is try to be spontaneous sometimes. Yeah, sometimes. I can't have it too spontaneous. It'll also drive me crazy.
Yeah.
What about you guys? Let's start, Christine.
For me, my self-care activity is sleeping. I love sleep. And self-care is kanang restorative, manggod. Like,
Okay.
Dili siya, unlike self-help, it's more like a work because you want something to improve your mindset. That is self-help. And then self-care, it's more like maintaining wellness.
Okay, maintain.
Maintenance na nato ang koan. There's nothing to kanang improve. Ganahan lang kay i-maintain imong well-being, imong kanang good aura, imong good vibrations. And also muna for me, para dili ko I can show up better sa anywhere, maski sa school, sa work, or sa kanang laag-laag, kanang dapat na ko'y enough rest. So maski asa, kung sample, kuwang ko rest, inig ka biyahe, matulog ko kay para inig ka, good morning guys, na nga marag energy. So
what is the optimal amount of sleep, would you say? Like for you, what's the right amount mong gidi so that you can be
16 hours.
16 hours.
Joke lang. I think kanang inig ganing ako ang para nako nga sakto jud akong sleepy kanang manglakra jud ang unlan dili laway.
Okay, so if you start having marks
kanang
na
feel nako ba grabe ato nga power nap murag kaya na nako ning adlaw.
I know that Chennie Montero here, our resource person for self-care, has a limited time only, right? And you need to go in a bit, right, Chennie? Am I right? Yeah. So I guess we're gonna try to wind down our conversation with her while we still continue the interview. You know what? In this fast-paced world with all of these distractions, nga murag times 10 ang distractions karon compared to, let's just say, the pre-internet, pre-mobile phone era. Grabe na jud kaayo ka distracted ang tao karon. In fact, we don't even have time for boredom, right? Murag boredom is extinct, right? And I think boredom is important for self-care, right? So, ang akong pangutana siguro niyani nimo, Chennie, is this, especially how you do it and your advice to our viewers, our listeners out there who are so distracted from the day-to-day of this information crazy world. How do you deal with all of these distractions so that you can keep your sanity?
So, like I mentioned earlier, I am very into time and energy management. So I block things on my calendar, even the minor things that I do that helps me keep focused. But I do allow myself to skim through the feeds because as a social media content creator, I have to know the trends as well. But I have to keep track of the time that I spend on scrolling.
How do you do that?
So again,
there's an alarm. Like, for example, you're already death scrolling. Stop it already. Like 5 hours is too much. Like what is it? How do you stop yourself from death scrolling?
I just set myself a certain time, like per hour, 1 hour, and then if it's already an hour or 30, like for example, 30 minutes. Okay, 30 minutes na, stop na ta. Then exit the app and then go on to the next thing that I need to do.
So nagay time limit.
Yeah, I try my best, good, to have that time limit because mag-doom scrolling na.
How about binge watching? How do you stop yourself from getting to the next episode?
next.
How do you do that? How do you stop yourself from binge watching? Do you have like a
Okay.
strategy also? Because I need to strategize because I'm working on a TV series now and I can't stop watching.
Okay. I guess pwede, in a week, like, you set it as a reward to yourself. Okay, kana, I need to, for example, work out. Then the reward is to watch the TV series. And then for the next episode na I need to catch sa TV series, kaya kailangan ko ma-workout.
Mm.
So at least na productive ka ba? And that keeps you like that discipline bitaw to stop and continue on the next one.
So you make it as give it as a reward.
Yes.
Yeah, but how long? How long is your reward? Maybe you're too good to yourself and give yourself 2 days to watch one series, like nonstop. Like how do you not over reward yourself? Because now I'm getting a tendency to do too much, right? I mean, like whatever's doing once is worth doing 100 times. Like how do you
Discipline na jud, Sir Jiggy.
Discipline na jud.
Discipline.
Okay, discipline.
Mm-mm.
Okay. Kana bang idea? Kanang idea bitaw of how do you call this? Self help and self care is actually a relatively novel idea, and I think we have a lot of things to learn from people like you, Chennie. And I think it is very important that you keep on doing whatever it is that you're doing. Out there on Instagram, we are watching you all the time. You know, we feel the good
Thank you
vibrations.
so much.
And I hope
Means
nga,
a lot.
I hope nga you get invited to more events, maybe symposiums or seminars or speeches and all of that stuff, so they can learn from you as well. Because I think you're an embodiment of self care, and I love the fact nga you're here with us as we celebrate International Self Care Day. Ikaw, Chennie, before we finally let you go, what do you do? How are you celebrating International Self Care Day?
I've already this week I've caught up with the four pillars of self care. So I've done body, which is yesterday. I did a bit of movement at the gym. Mind, read a book this week. I'm planning to do that.
What are you reading
then-
right now? Can you share to us what you're reading?
Yeah.
Mm.
This one. The things you can see only when you slow down.
The things you can see only when you slow down. Oh, that sounds beautiful. Is that can you share to us the author?
Yes, it's by Haemin Sonim. I think this is a Korean author.
Oh, okay. Is it in Korean or no?
Yeah. No, it's English.
Is it available widely, or is it available in fully
Yes.
booked?
It's actually in fully booked and National Bookstore.
Okay. And then that's beautiful. Let's write that down,
Yes.
ladies and gentlemen. And what else? That's reading.
And then today I'm meeting my close friend, so that's on the heart pillar.
Mhm.
And then spiritual, spirit, soul. I'm planning on Saturday to just have a time with myself to meditate and breathe. So yeah.
So deliberate
that's
on
it.
your part. It's very deliberate on your part. You really are designing your life for those four pillars, right? So I think that's the most important part. Don't just leave things randomly, like, by chance. You can relax and stuff. You have to make it a part of who you are. Engineer life that is.
Yes, because I also noticed, your Jiggy, if I may add, if I take care of those four pillars, I really show up good, fully, and it radiates good from the inside with how I show up with people and in what I do, and that is why people, because this is what I get from people, no, that they say I have this warm and healing energy because I did the work.
Yeah.
So I hope you do the work as well.
We can feel your warmth and your energy. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Chennie Montero. Ladies and gentlemen, let's give her a round of applause. Thank you so much. If they want to be a part of your and know more about you, where can they find you on the socials? Go ahead, tell everybody.
Yeah, so I'm on TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube. On YouTube, that's Chennie TV. And on all the other social media platforms, that's Chennie Montero, Chennie Montero. I also have a podcast.
Oh, okay.
It's,
Wow.
yeah, it's named self-love club.
Oh,
So I share a bit of my nuggets of wisdom from my experience, and also I interview people there with empowering and inspiring stories. So follow and listen. It's on Spotify.
okay. Thank you so much, Chennie. Thank you. Take care of yourself now.
Thank you so much for having me.
Okay,
Have a
bye-bye.
good day, guys.
Okay, thank you so much.
Bye.
Thank you. Wow, amazing, right? Chennie Montero, ladies and gentlemen, what a beautiful soul, right? Right? Mag-contagious ko di po diyang energy, right?
Yeah. Like pag come in niya kay, yung face kay marag ni-light up niya.
May halo effect.
Yeah, super. Like marag ang iyang vibe ba kay marag this calm and feminine energy na marag it's just there.
Yeah.
Yung sweet
Sa imo na
calm.
siyang i-cut. We should
Pi-
body that.
Yes.
Yeah, pero ang akong concern ba is she is also an influencer, di ba? Like she said, she has a podcast, she has YouTube, Facebook. And kanang kalibutan mo gud sa internet is very competitive and also very stressful, di ba?
Yeah.
And you will be able to see all of the comments, both good and bad. You know, it could be also mentally draining. So I wonder how she does that. So I forgot to ask that question actually. Like, ikaw, Justin, tanaw ni mo ba nga, ana nga klase nga tao bitaw nga, her content is about self-care, is about finding time for yourself, but kaning you're in the world that is hyper connected, hyper stressful, and hyper competitive. But it's almost an impossible task, right? What do you think?
Kind of that. Yeah, no, I like how you mentioned it's very chaotic. No, we've experienced that here at TMC, even in the very simple ways that we try to make content. No, it's very chaotic. We're trying, yeah, you know, a lot of dignity is thrown out the door.
Exactly.
But I can try to understand. I like how she mentioned that time management is one thing, but energy management is another thing. So that's how I imagine she schedules, not just plotting the time in which she has to make content or the kind of content she has to make, but what times of the day will she dispense her energy the most, no? And what parts of the day will she use it to recuperate or to rebuild that energy again? So super important yun na siya. Come on, guys, you know, kanina naputol. I asked our listeners, because today is International Self-Care Day. Happy International Self-Care Day. Suddenly, I feel like this is my toxic trait. Now I'm like, you know, I think I should like get some milk tea later. Or like, I think I should treat myself like an
Mag-coffee na
iced
ako later.
coffee. You know what? Like, end of the week na bitaw. Like, suddenly.
Yeah.
But anyways, we talked about our self-care, not really hacks. Jiggy just talked about self-care activities. So I'm calling out to all our listeners right now. Let us know, what are your self-care activities? What do you do to recuperate, to take care of yourself, to validate yourself? Jiggy mentioned for him it would be to take time to meditate, even walk his dog Cooper. For me, it's to try to be spontaneous, so have moments within the day nga dili planned. Christine is sleep giliyahan, no?
24 hours.
Ay, grabe.
Grabe sad na usab ako.
Si beauty.
You know, so sleeping for Christine, whatever way she can, so that she has more energy to greet people and to be her best self. What about you guys? I think Ollie first.
Ako mine is dugang yun since professor college such a senior high actually, because for context time, if you ask my friends, I'm a social butterfly who gets drained very easily.
Oh.
Yeah. Like grabe ko
obvious.
grabe ko hyperactive when it comes to kanang mga crowds, friends, ana. Pero like dali kay ko ma-drain na marag night times na marag gaan ko alone ko. And muna siya ato pag senior high naka-discover ko or pag first year college naka-discover ko na kanang mas maka-recuperate ko through solitude. Yeah,
Okay.
like I wrote, I made like a video about this before para sa mga assignment before. Ang script is nakapunan to, right? Solitude doesn't have to be lonely. Solitude doesn't have to be lonely because solitude doesn't mean you're alone. You are with yourself, and yourself is the best companion you could ever have.
Wow.
Yeah, that's
Alone
what,
but not lonely.
Yeah, alone but not alone but not lonely.
Okay.
Because when you same as Sir Jiggy, when you take time to meditate, maka-reflect ka on yourself, and that's what I like. I like talking to myself.
Ay,
Sometimes, dili po na talking ako. Di po ko makapag-debate sa myself alone.
To the wall.
Yeah. Pero like, I like kanang going through my mind now what I like, what I don't like. It's
Really asking yourself
you're really asking for me.
questions.
Yeah.
Okay.
Na does this have value to me? Ngano yung ani ka, ngano yung ana ka?
You're very reflective.
Yeah, and a lot of times man po good kay murag as makabantay man gyud mo na I'm very talkative.
Yeah,
Good super. Pero ako man good, dali kay ko ma-dream when it comes to talking, dali kay ko mapagaw. Labi nang So that's why mag-ask ko na ngano talkative kay ko, why I speak too fast, mga di ko maka-organize sa akong self, and a lot of times na ako sa TikTok nag-reflect ko na ngano ni ani ko, and how do I fix my kanang mga, let's say not really flaws but kanang
Improve.
how can I improve sa mga qualities about myself. So like yeah, that's what I do para kanang if I get the energy back na to join the crowd again, mas more na ako lively and dili ko yung nasa puton.
Okay. So it's really taking the time to ask yourself, be alone with yourself, be comfortable with being alone, and then asking yourself mga
But
questions.
it's easier said than done though. Kaya
It is.
It's really hard to be alone. Kaya pag first put, actually na-inspire mo ako ni Bretman na nagod before.
Bretman Rock?
Bretman Rock. Influencer, Filipino influencer. He's based in Hawaii. And kanang, ano mga ginay nag-ask niya before na, how do you get comfortable of going to cafes or going out alone?
Bitaw.
Ana siya, ni ana siya na I'm actually still learning. Kasi ang video
You can see ano?
yeah, sa iyang mga sa iyang mga stories always siya usan ko, how do you do it siya? How do you do that? And siya na, I'm actually still learning. So mo to ni try ko gunana, and if wala mo kabalo, even till now I go to cafes alone.
Gahapon nato siya pick up coffee.
Ay wala ko nang pick up yan. Ay ko na muuli na lang ko.
Di inanang siya, sige mag-pick up coffee lang ko, nilakaw ko.
Self-care every day.
So that's what you should probably do today. Just spend some time alone at
Yeah, I feel like
Gusto ko mag-self-care.
okay na gigaan ko ni Papa.
Thanks, Luel.
What about you, Ellery? What's your self-care activity, or what are you planning to do to celebrate today?
Blind box.
Yeah, actually, listening to your mga habits of self-care, no, I think mine is like, wala siya
No,
bag,
come
but
on.
like,
That's okay.
it's very simple. Kaya I like watching like mga Ghibli films or mga cartoons.
Oh, okay.
Or even dance videos. I'm into dance again because World of Street One Fighter. And I really want to get back to dancing. And aside from that, yeah, na-mention nila, blind box, retail therapy, very...
Wait, so what is blind box?
The,
Yeah, the kanang mga Smiskies, Heronos, Labubu. Actually, Miss
Like that
Kaha.
kanang i-open.
Yeah.
Okay.
Atong the other day
Ano
lang.
mo expensive
Yeah.
nga self-care.
The other day lang niya na siya na magunsa ko mag-blind box na kaya ko.
Wala ko ni palit.
Anami nga, mga ano ta Ellery, pero dili siya ganan siya mag-blind box. Oh
Actually,
my
wala ko ni
God.
palit.
That's also a form of self-care, no? Like ipuning all your savings to something.
Reward.
Later na lang ang kaon. So, giniglect nun nimo ang basic ka ng physiological needs of eating kay para mapalit.
I
know,
I'm kidding,
pagkaos balay.
I'm kidding.
I mean, also, in my defense, dili mo sa ko nga na, like, my appetite is not that, like,
Okay.
Like, dili gutom mo na.
Kami
all
tigurot
that.
sa lunch ni Eller.
Yeah, exactly. But mostly, like, yeah, retail therapy. I don't know why, pero palit ko good. Rewarding guys siya.
Yeah.
For example,
No, I think it's the act. I don't think it's necessarily like not about the item. It's the act of choosing things, taking your time, siguro, no?
buying something for yourself.
I see that very much with my dad. Like retail therapy said siya, like if we go out to buy something, he finds it relaxing to go to different stores, checking out different products, like comparing this and that. So it's also a form of relaxation, I guess, no?
Yeah.
Ka-relate siya nimo.
Mag-blind box na pwede mga life.
Dili ako ang threshold kay 700.
Mahal gyapon ni Ellery.
What's 700?
Ang blind
Okay.
Pwede naman i-samgyup i-busman to.
Ay, gabi. Dili ko mukha.
Pero lisod na kanang, like, I'm glad that it's out there. The idea is out there about self-care. But lisod yun ka na in this day and age. Nga grabe kay kusog ang kinabuhi, di ba? Grabe yun kayo, especially with all of the things that we can potentially do. And the fear of missing out, di ba?
FOMO na sad.
FOMO na sad, di ba? Nga, what happens if I rest, right? Like, so, ang atong mga idols, di ba? Makita tala, they're very hardworking, di ba? Nga, kanang mga K-pop bands nga, the way what they have to go through to become members of BTS or whatever K-pop band kanang mga athletes, di ba nga grabe kayo nga Mamba mentality or Michael Jordan and LeBron James, mura grabe kay sila ka
The phenoms.
ang ilahag yung MO is really hard work, right? Hard work, which
No
is
pain, no gain.
which is I think not a bad thing, but I think sometimes, like all things in life, ba sometimes nagi tendency to overdo it. Masubraan ba?
Burnout.
Masubraan, and I think kita ra magyoy ultimately the decision makers of ourselves, right? Kita ra may maka-decide. Unsa may what's too much?
Yeah.
What's too much, right? Right?
varies from person to
Yeah.
person.
Yeah, what's too much? Like how much and aside from that, of course, there's science also, di ba? That can guide us. Daghan kay mga for example, like sleep is your superpower. Usa na sa mga butang mura og makalimtan nato.
Supposed to be a basic.
Diba? Pero tungod sa hard work nito atong hustle nga manghambog at galing na abdan mis tunga sa gabi naghimo mig thesis,
Or
diba?
it's like a medal for
Yeah, badge
for
of honor.
some. Or sa ato agod ganun. Hala, 3 hours na ba akong sleep.
Oh, diba?
Eto medal.
It's almost like we say that with
Billboard mo yan.
pride, right? Not with
Yeah.
shame, right? And I think should there be like a I don't know, overwork shaming out there?
I-shame na ko si Ellery. Uy, Ellery, over ka. Char lang. Kaya sobrang
Actually, kada naog na mo dali, kada naog sa elevator, Ellery hardworking ra kay ka super na.
Pwede na ni mo pulihan si Sir Jiggy as kuan.
mo lagi pero ang akong pasabot ba is that's actually our culture. Kultura gina sa business, di ba nga? Ang pinaka busy looking person, di ba? He's the guy who gets promoted, gets the raise, di ba? So I think manggod looking busy is already half the job, but in our culture now, but I think it's important to have other metrics, other measures ba?
Yeah.
Nga makaingon ka nga this guy is actually effective. You don't you can be you don't have to be efficient, you just have to be effective. Okay, efficient is doing and finishing the things, right? But I think effective is finishing and doing the right things, right? So you have to be busy, but with the right things, and so you don't have to do everything at the same time, and you can always delegate if you want to, or maybe postpone the not so important things at a later date, and so on and so forth. There's so many variants of what an effective individual is, right?
Yeah,
You're about to say something, Hillary.
Yeah, speaking of the business perspective, sir, how do you think employers or maybe like kanang mga companies or even governments can encourage self-care to their employees? Like for example, I've seen mga corporate organizations or companies, they usually have ganang mga clubs within their anang mga employees, mga book club, mga ana. What else can you add to that? Team building.
Just like in the same way that your life, a parent's life, I'm a parent, right? Is an example of how your kids should live their lives, right? So I think the only way to be able to encourage also your employees, for example, to take care of themselves is to show everybody how you also take care of yourself, right? So be a shining example of what it is to take care of yourself. Ako nakabantay jud ko ana nga ako kung kuwang ko gatog. If I lack sleep and I show up for work, kuan jud ko dili gid as effective. I'm not that quick witted. I'm not that sharp, and my show is not as good as if I was well rested. So kana lang daan. Mahuway lang gid ka because like most important things in life, it takes time and space and rest allows the good stuff to be, right? Do you understand? Like space, rest allows great things to be. So if you want to have a creative idea, if you want to have a creative session, if you want to have a creative meeting, make sure you have time to rest, because kung stressed out ka, you won't be able to create because you're coming from a place of tired, being tired, and so on
Actually
and
kind
so
of
forth.
experienced that before in our result class before because it was a time when we had like the media caravan thing in USJR. Yeah, we went to that, and before the night before I was studying for an exam, I think. So I barely got any sleep. Then we had to get up early. So I didn't eat breakfast na po. I have to get up early to get to USJR.
Mga basic needs.
Then mama end ang seminar around 12. Then kami class around 1. So PE pa yun. So kanang wala ko tulog, wala ko kaon. Then PE pa yun.
Oh my God.
After PE kapoy na ko. Then last class is result class. Mo to. Na-timing man to na ako natawag for like a recitation. I was blabbering things. Wala ko kabalo sa akong kitabi niya. Ako na ba kanang yes me sana.
No. You make it till you make it.
Pataka na ko yan. Kaya dito yaw.
So I think the whole gist of it all, when we understand self-care, no, it's that you have to meet your basic needs. Ang ako ra gid, like if I were to just summarize everything, kana bitang Maslow's hierarchy of needs. Diba? At the very bottom we have our physiological needs. We need to eat, we need to sleep, we need to rest because we are that's part of our biology. We need that. And at the very top there's that self-actualization. And dili gid na nimo ma-reach ang top. You can't be self-actualized. You can't have time for reflection, for understanding who you are, for changing for the better. If kato mga basic things, di mo buhaton. So it makes sense, good. Like if you're living on survival mode, na kanang next, basta okay, kaon ako after this subject, or kaon ako ana. You won't have time for anything else in your life. You're just running on fumes, no? So yeah, and regarding Ellery's question of of how companies make use of that, no? So from a what I understand, like what I learned before, sa mga organizational management, the HR work and all that, and psychology, companies have to encourage self-care activities. So aside from team building and clubs, no, they do have like appreciation days, for example, where employees are in most companies, for example, they put them to exhibition games, kind of mga basketball games and the like. Very common here, no. And when I used to work as a teacher, there was a day that for the entire day, we got to choose if we wanted a massage, a haircut, or mani-pedi, something like that, no? Shout out to... Yeah, I love that activity. And then tagaan pag kag-ampaw, tagaan pag ana-ana, tagaan kag food and all of that, coffee carts and all this and that. So I think that's a way that these companies do that as well, no? And for the government itself, you talked about like how does the government support self-care? So I think it boils down to a lot of like the way I think of it is if we were to open more public parks maybe or activities na by the government, even kana mga concerts and all that, that's a way of encouraging self-care, telling people to take time.
Speaking of support sa kanang government, speaking of support gikan sa government for their employees, how does the academe do that? With all the burnout students.
Why was your face sneaky? How does the academe do that?
How does the academe do that? Actually,
somebody's naglaglag.
Like, as someone na dali ma burnout, we're like, how are we given?
See, Justine came from the academe, right? So she can probably speak for that. And you're also in school, so you can also speak about that, siguro. But I think bottom line is manggod nga school is about learning, putting information, knowledge, wisdom in your brain, right? So that's what school is. Sakto ba ko?
Yep.
But taking care of the vessel that contains all of that wisdom and knowledge is not being taken care of, right? Right? And it sounds nebulous. It sounds how do you do that? Like impossible kay ba? But and people are now, because of the science and based on our conversation with Chennie, that's why there's an International Self-Care Day, is because it's important to take care of the vessel that contains the wisdom and the knowledge, right? So how are schools doing that is a good question. Maybe you can text 0999-887-6070 or maybe message us on our social media platforms. But ikaw, Justine, nagtudlo man gyud ka. Og estudyante pa gyud ka. How did your school kaning encourage self-care, and how do you think they should do it moving forward?
Yeah, I love that. So even we see our educational system, the way it's set up, even in basic education, there are specific subjects taught to children on basic self-care, even up to the most kanang minimal efforts of taking care of your physiological needs. You're taught to groom yourself. You're taught to take care of yourself. No, there are specific hours in the day wherein you're encouraged to eat. There's recess and all that. Early daycare, you have nap time and all that. And then as you progress older, there are these subjects that try to introduce that idea. Like introduction to the self or kanang knowing the self. I think understanding the self. That's a subject available to older students. And then I think that. As Jiggy mentioned, it's important for schools or any education institution to still take care of the vessel that holds all the knowledge. And so I'd like to mention what you said, kanang PE class. That's for me an example of how they teach us self-care, no? But I think it's much easier for us to think of the other ways that we disregard, or institutions are able to disregard self-care in kanang like the kan kay kog mabash. Not to any particular institution, but I can think like kanang na klase bisag baha or something.
Right.
That doesn't sound very that doesn't sound very self-care, no? But again, I what I'd like to say lang is that for the most part, the way schools are set up, okay, they take that into account, man. You know, they try to take care of the vessel. That's why there's a guidance and counseling office in every school. No,
Yeah.
that's required. And
That's actually a good thing sa USC. Kaya we have like free counseling if you need it. The CDC
it is.
CDC
Okay.
office.
CDC.
CDC, yeah,
I think it's part
counseling.
of the tuition, but
Yeah, it's part of the
It is.
tuition.
Oh.
Yeah, you're paying for it. So like, yeah, you can avail it naman and pwede
make
ka.
use of it. Make use of it.
Yeah.
And yearly po na kataganing murag mga sessions nila sa atong
Yeah.
classroom.
USC actually does that po na kanang ang usa sa kanang counselors kay mo visit sa classrooms and ask the mental well-being of each student.
Yeah, yung take din yung mga
okay.
surveys,
Yeah.
personality surveys, emotional
The
assessment.
na-earth nga koan. Na-free nga snack. I-claim sa... Okay, mo ni self-care.
So self-care comes in the form of giving away free food.
Yeah.
free snacks.
Pero
also remember
ako nung a lot of schools man po good kaya nang ang like sa in terms of scheduling ba na ko nakita before sa
Have you noticed?
sa internet na ang ilang classes mo start early as 7 p.m. mo end late as 7 a.m.
Okay.
7 mo end late at 9 p.m. So pila na lang tulog di mo ana.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Magtuon pa ka, mag-assignment pa ka. Asa
I
man
feel like
imong
that's only
ibutang.
allowable if kanang maybe they have rest, I don't know,
In between.
rest in between, like maybe tagaan sila
30
Yeah,
minutes,
no.
15 minutes.
Like ang taga sa mga breaks.
Nasa
Yeah.
yung mga rest pods gid nga na ba.
Wow, rest.
But yeah, that goes back to the question on how, like in other countries, there are some countries that kanang it's a law good nga their classes are only supposed to be until a certain time, like 2 p.m., 3 p.m. to
Yeah.
allow people to rest. Diba? I think New
Yeah, I think
Zealand.
dili kay sila hilig og homework sa gani. Like
Yeah,
more
there are
on
some
sa
schools that don't implement
sa classwork jud sila ay nga na. And actually, 'di ba sa ato di man ang uban prof kay di sila maghatag og mga assignments ini
Weekend.
weekends.
Yeah.
Actually, there's a law
Kung
about that.
kung naa gani
Oh,
kay
I
ang
agree with that.
inigpa siya next week pero dili siya ingon
Like a
sa-
deadline.
Oo.
Yeah. Okay.
so thank you. May na lang.
Please keep it up.
You know, I think ang importante ani ba is kaning i-formalize gyud ni siya kay kana magong usa ka butang nga nindot na ay tendency nga
May
ma-overdo.
nasauna.
Masubraan ba? Di ba? So how do we know nga sobraan sa self-care tawanay wala gawas-gawas balay nila whatever ano bitaw sige lang niglaglagay di ba? So I think ang arbiter ang conductor ang elders ang academia ang government ang atong mga influencers mga thought leaders ba mo decide and I think it's importante ang components sa gobyerno na nga maghimo tag mga balaod mga legislation.
Allow for that.
Oh, pero at least ba ma-formalize ba nga dili sad masubraan. Di ba nga pwede mo mapahuway pero 30 minutos ra usa ka oras ra niya paguman naagin may bakasyon kanang bakasyon at importante kay na sanan nga imo gyud ang i-take advantage dili na convertible to cash di ba? Or
Kanang live accurals na. Oo.
Unya, I think importante gyud kayo nga natin daghang mga eksperto sa atong institutions. Ang ratio sa empleyado to psychiatrist, psychologist in every school, in every business establishment is important. And I think finally it should be encouraged to seek psychiatrists and psychologists, di ba? Kay dili man na pasabot nga buang ka good or something's wrong with you kung gusto ka psychiatrist o psychologist, di ba? Ang mga ubang kultura normal man na nila. Yeah, lisod man kay na makigstorya kasi mong parents dahil about sa imong love life, imong mga problema. Lisod, di ba?
Yeah.
Although that should be the ideal, di ba? Just the ideal yun na nga, you should speak to your mom and your dad, right? Pero lisod man na siya, di ba? So mas maayo nga komportable ra kami ingon nga surya sa ko sa psychiatrist sa eskwelahan, psychologist sa eskwelahan, di ba? Okay ra na siya. Di ba? Kay kung ang problema na kung dili okay, kung buang man ni si Olio nagigstorya ni psychiatrist ay basin naunsa na niya giango-ango na ni siya
Yeah,
whatever.
for context guys, I actually went to a psychiatrist back pag first year college and dili man ata ko buang karon. Nara ko gamay tama tingali pero
Question mo na.
You think?
Ata. Di man ata. No, that's true. No, I think where Jiggy is driving at is that self-care in itself it's a culture shift also. It's something that aside from policies and institutions needing to make whatever para matuman ng self-care so that people will practice it rather. No?
The self-care na sa
Self-care because of self-help and self-care, no? But it's all about shifting the culture also and understanding no, it's okay to seek help. to take care of yourself, it's not necessarily selfish. It's a must. Pero with like Jiggy said, naa dapat safeguards.
Yeah.
Kay yeah. When does self-care become unhealthy naman? Ano kano sa maday manubra? Like what's an example of that day? Jiggy nga manubra di ang
For
self-care.
example, kaning imong self-care kay katog niya matog na katibok adlaw. For example, di ba?
Dili na productive, di ba?
Basically, when you're
Sakto.
when you neglect
Sa gym, for example, nga, sige lang gym, masobraan sa nimo, instead of 1 hour, like grabe na kay kasanan kanang take steroids or obsessed na kay kanang it has to be I think again the word is balance, diba? Balance. So depending yun na siya sa imuhang schedule at the same time. And naman sa downtime, diba? Na kay downtime for example, some people work hard for 3 months work and then have mini vacations, so pwede pa nang inana kasi depende ra gyud sa imong style. But I think it has to be more regular and more kaning predictable ba, and you have to build your lifestyle with that in mind.
So true.
Right?
Na guilty gid ko anang I suddenly thought of like how there's also a time it's like, I'm always sleeping in class. I'm gonna self-care and like see coffee ba. Going to cafes and then journaling and all that. Karon na nakoy hyperactive. I can't have coffee anymore.
Your self-care po kay para makatabang mo sa health mo ang coffee like kanang for like basta maintaining weight ana. So mo to ato na tayo pag senior high kay nag 3 times a day ko mag-coffee mauto kay na-diagnose ko with anxiety.
Yeah, I remember
Okay, matam ka for me.
Kato ganing
What about you?
Medlos ta. Katong like, di ba there are medlos na to katong nag-resits, first resits.
Yeah.
Pila beto ka cases. That was actually my first time trying coffee.
No.
Pag,
During a class day
like,
with a recitation.
yeah.
Palpitate queen.
Yeah, pero naraas naman puto na ko ang naslay ra mo guro tanaw. But ako na to, wala ko'y tulog ato.
Ay, same.
I think that sakto jud nga dapat dili pasubraan kay tinuod na kanang
Lagi.
ako di ba hilig jud kog sleep nya moing kung pahilig kay kog kay gikapoy ko siya nga lagi gikapoy ka matug ka inya og masubraan inig mo tani murag kapoy man gyapon imong lawas.
Exactly. It's
tinuod jud no kung
counterproductive ba?
kung masubraan sa kag sleep murag duka sad noon kapoy imong lawas. So I think
exactly.
sakto lang power nap lang.
Asa plano ka ng retail therapy? Grabe nimo
Shopee delivery ka
therapy
adlaw?
imong self sa retail. Pag mo sa imong bangko hala zero.
Retail sa bangko. Therapy sa bangko. But yeah, I think like self-care becomes too much if in the process of maybe like improving those 4 pillars you end up neglecting them.
Something else. Okay.
And I think that's
So balance.
balance.
Yeah. So we hope everyone listening to us today will also take that into account. Let's celebrate International Self-Care Day, but also take note of the safeguards, when not to go overboard, and treat yourself. I'm just saying that because I want to do that for myself today.
Let's treat ourselves.
Okay, thank you so much, you guys. Thank you so much, Hillary. Thank you so much, Ollie and Christine, and of course, Justine Narvios for joining us in our conversation. Kamo diha mga tigpaminaw, daghang salamat Chennie Montero, our idol when it comes to self-care. Celebrate International Self-Care Day by taking it easy. Relax lang, chill. Sunset on 105.1 TMC, the best of us.